Sonic has had a lot of games over the years, and of course, if you want to play a video game, you gotta have a controller. And conveniently, Sonic actually has a wide variety of themed controllers. They've actually become a lot more frequent in this specific console generation, and well, some of them are good. Strangely enough, the first one we have here is a Sonic Colors Classic controller for the Wii, which is one of, if not the only third-party classic controller for the Wii. It does seem to have a slightly different design with these weird lines on the side, but really this does just look like a typical Wii Classic controller. This actually seems like a pretty rare controller, and it doesn't pop up very often on eBay, for example, and because of that, I'd say just stick to a normal Wii Classic controller or the Pro version. Those are much more accessible than this, but it is still cool that this exists. Moving on to the Nintendo Switch, we've got these Joy-Con style controllers with some very nice art on them. Big fan of how this all pops. The white buttons as well are a very smart choice. They are a bit pricey, however, costing $60, but it does provide a much nicer feeling Nintendo Switch, but it is missing features like rumble. I do still like the design here a lot, I just wish it was cheaper. I personally don't own these, but honestly, I would've if they came out sooner. What I got instead is fine. Another version of the Sonic Joy-Con controllers, however this time with a more ergonomic shape with different art and buttons. I've played with these for a very long amount of time, and I gotta be honest, I'm not the biggest fan. I do still like them, but the colors just don't do it for me, strangely. The blue feels almost muted, and the design feels kind of lazy and boring to look at, which is strange considering this is Yuikawa art. The buttons themselves feel kind of weird, like not bad, but it's just a bit different from what I'm used to. These grips do come with turbo, which is nice to have, but not necessary at all. I do still like this one, but I think it could be better, and since it's also $60 and the art is a lot better, I think the other one is just much better designed. Speaking of this controller design, we see it return on this wireless controller for the Switch, and yeah, again, I'm not a big fan. The art is still the same one, which again, I love the pose they have Sonic in, but the surrounding art style and design just doesn't complement it very well in my opinion. And the stick placement is very strange. Okay, seriously, they had to have known that placement just wasn't right. I think my other problem with this controller is just the shape of it. It just looks really strange. I just get the vibe that I wouldn't really get into this controller. Especially with the price tag of $50 to $60, I don't see myself picking up this controller anytime soon. Why the hell would you make a Sonic controller 50% yellow? Of all colors they could have chosen to put along Sonic, I would never, ever choose yellow. Not only that, but they chose one of the most static and boring poses of Yuikawa's art on this controller. It really has to do with the angle of Sonic and how his quills look really off compared to his body. The controller has the same layout and feel as the other Power 8 controllers though, which is a good design and that is a good thing. But damn, I just don't like how this thing looks. I do, however, think that the price tag of $30 is reasonable, but keep in mind this is a wired controller. I wouldn't recommend this controller based on the design, but a controller I would recommend, however, the Sonic GameCube style controller for the Switch. Excellent design. It's not big and in your face, but it has modern Sonic's logo in a nice circle, and the controller is a very nice blue color. The back is fully red to match Sonic's shoes, and the controller itself just feels great. Not 100% GameCube accurate, of course, but very few people even want that these days. Plus, it still feels amazing in the hands and is great to play with. The home button also lights up when it's plugged in. I just thought that was a nice touch. I've used this controller very often in the past few years, and I've gotten hours of usage out of it. However, when this controller was first released, it was around $30, but it's gone out of production since then, and it costs a fortune online now. Which sucks, because I think this is the best Sonic controller on the Switch. These just look like a piece of ass to hold. And not the good kind. They look lazy, boring, and ugly. Just putting a JPEG of a Sonic Generation stage does not make the controller look good. The little figurines in the controller is kind of cool, but now there's just an empty space in the controller. These are like $40 too. I'd say these are not worth it. Even the yellow one I think is better than these. Now we move on to Xbox, and we see the same type of design as the previous one on Switch. However, this one is much better. It's a much more stylized and unique picture here, and I think it's definitely for the better. It has a slightly different design of the actual controller, but the style of the picture inside the controller alone puts this above the Switch version. This version, however, is $50, which is a bit of a high price, but it does actually have rumble in it, which is one of the only Sonic controllers to include that. Much better than the Switch version. No! This right here is almost perfect. A stylized Sonic controller that isn't too in your face, and it has a lot of style. A great pose of Sonic off to the side but not covered by buttons or sticks, Japanese kanji over this red area that resembles Sonic's shoe, and the very premium Xbox One feel here is phenomenal. So then, what's the downside? That is a ridiculous cost for a controller, especially one that doesn't have very many advancements compared to the normal $60 Xbox One controller. It's a very, very good design, but it is not worth that kind of money, good lord. This, however, to me, is the best Sonic controller of all time. A gorgeous blue design with a wavy checkerboarded background, stars dotted along the surface of it, and Sonic himself in another great pose. However, this time inside of a star with some very interesting and appealing color outline choices. The buttons are a very nice contrast by being light blue, and the white under the sticks furthers this even more. Everything about this controller looks-wise is perfect, and it doesn't stop there. It also includes Rumble, and is $40, which I think is a very fair price. The only downside I can think of is that it's wired, which is a problem for some people, but it works good for my living space, so I'm not complaining. Overall, the best Sonic controller, and it gets my #1 recommendation. So yeah, thank you for watching. This was more of a quick video to make, just a video topic I've always wanted to try out, and yeah, I did it. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.